Hello, operator. Can you please connect me with OTR Halloween Holidays? I don't want to miss this episode of the Ghoulie Show.
Good evening, friends of the creaking door. This is your host to welcome you into the Inner Sanctum. Come on in. Well, let me tell you about the loot we picked up in our family. Mother got a new broom. Yeah, she needed it ever since she wrecked the old one in a forced landing on the roof last month. Uncle William got a fur-lined straitjacket. And dear, darling little Aunt Matilda got a new hat pin. Yes, her last one got stuck in the skull of her fourth husband. All right. Turn your lights low and your radio up. And remember that all the actors getting killed in this program are being well paid for it. The winter winds moaned around the gabled house like a wandering band of wailing women. As Caroline Giles, puzzled and frightened by something she's seen in the gathering dusk, makes her way into the living room. This is young Mrs. Giles' first night at the family mansion built by her husband's grandfather. Only this morning the attractive bride arrived after a honeymoon trip in Europe. When she enters the huge, shadow-filled room, she notices the servant girl at the window. She's a young girl, the only other person in the house. And Caroline can see that she's scarcely able to control the terror she feels.
Mary? Yes, ma'am.
What's going on out there?
Nothing. When will Mr. Giles be home?
He should be here within an hour. Why are those cars stopping out there?
Cars, Mrs. Giles?
Oh, really, Mary? You must see them as well as I do. 3 of them stopped within a few minutes. Look, there's another one.
Maybe that's Mr. Giles.
No, the car isn't coming into the driveway. It's stopping outside. Who are these people, Mary?
I don't know.
Why should they stop outside? What did they want?
I don't know.
Oh, Mary. You don't know. There's no reason to become hysterical.
Mrs. Giles, come away from the window.
But why?
You don't know them. Oh, please come away from the window.
Mary, why? Now...
Oh, I've warned you. They're throwing rocks through the window. Get down, Mrs. Giles. Get down on the floor. You'll be hurt.
But Mary...
Oh, please. Mrs. Giles, just pray that they don't come in here. Just pray that they don't.
Wait a minute, Mary. I hear sirens. It's the police.
Oh, the police. Oh, thank heavens. They'll make them go away.
Mrs. Giles, I'm Richard Croydon, the mayor of this town. I'm sorry we had to come here under these circumstances.
How do you do?
This is John Dent, our local chief of police.
Mrs. Giles, I'm very sorry about what happened tonight. The crowd is gone now. I'll do my best to see that it never happens again.
I've also come to offer what apologies I can. Must have been a frightful experience for you on your first day here. Our people may appear civilized enough, but in many ways we're a very primitive community. I suppose your husband told you that?
No, he didn't. But David told me about you, Mr. Croydon. He said you were the oldest friend he has. I believe you live down the road?
Yes, that's right. That's how I happened to see those cars coming, and I phoned Chief Dent.
But why did those cars come, Mr. Croydon?
Why?
Well, yes. Why should those people who hardly know me do a thing like this?
Well, didn't David tell you?
Tell me what?
Where is David now?
He went to town. I expect him any minute.
Well, perhaps he'll tell you what you want to know when he returns.
Why can't you tell me?
I'm not sure that I care to.
Mr. Dent, perhaps you'll be kind enough to explain this?
Them people weren't after you, ma'am. They were after the man you married.
David? But what?
Dent, if Mr. Giles hasn't told her, I don't think it's your place to do so.
Well, the woman has a right to know. The reason them folks are trying to kill Mr. Giles is because they think he's a murderer. Some call them even worse than that.
What do you mean?
Mrs. Giles, 2 years ago, a series of killings began in this here county. Girls, young girls, 4 of them were found on lonely roads, stabbed to death. Homicidal maniac, that's what the state police officer said.
And my husband?
Well, your husband was arrested for them crimes. He was tried right here, but they let him go. We didn't have enough evidence.
David, can't believe it. Why should they suspect him?
Well, he knew one of them girls, and, he had been sent away, ma'am.
Sent away? What are you talking about?
Well, everyone knowed there was something wrong with him. He had to go to an asylum for a while.
That's quite enough, then. Mrs. Giles, I must tell you this. David was discharged from the rest home, completely cured. It was nothing more than a nervous breakdown. Dent, you have no right to frighten her like this.
I'm not frightened. And I'm very grateful to Mr. Dent for telling me what he did. I just want to know one thing. If my husband was acquitted, why should they still believe he's guilty?
Because since he left town 6 months ago, there ain't been none of these murders. Not a single one. Now that he's back, they'll start again.
That's what you believe, Mr. Dent?
Oh, no, ma'am, but that's what the folks are saying.
Thank you. And now, if you don't mind, I'd like to be alone.
Mrs. Giles, if there's anything I can do...
No, thank you. There's nothing. Good night, Mr. Croydon.
Good night. Come along, then.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night. Hello? Operator, will you give me the number of the railroad station, please? No. Never mind, operator. Don't bother.
Are you going to leave, Carolyn?
David, you heard.
Yes. And I heard everything else my very old friend, Mr. Dent, told you. I was behind the other door.
Then why didn't you come in?
Why ruin their fun? Besides, I was curious to see just what your reaction would be.
David, why did they have to tell me? Why couldn't you?
You think this was an easy thing to tell to a newly married bride?
I would have found out sooner or later.
I did plan to tell you, Carolyn, in due time. That's why I ordered Mary not to say anything.
Darling, it isn't true. This is all an insane dream, a nightmare.
No, Carolyn, it's not a dream, but in many ways it is a nightmare. Were you going to run away from me, Carolyn? Is that why you phoned the station?
Yes.
Carolyn, if you want to leave me, I can't blame you. I realize it may be asking a little too much of any woman to be my wife and to live here.
Why did you come back here, Dave?
Because I want to prove to them that I'm not what they think I am. And I was hoping you'd help me. I thought maybe you loved me enough for that. Carolyn, I'm terribly sorry it must end this way.
I'm not going to leave, David.
Carolyn, I hope you understand what you're saying. You may be risking your life by remaining here.
I love you, David. I'll risk it.
I want you to be certain, because in the end I may fail and be put to death.
To death?
Yes, there are going to be other murders.
Other?
Don't ask me how I know this, but I'm almost positive that sometime tonight a girl in or near this community will be killed, brutally stabbed to death. I'll have to go out tonight and see if I can prevent it. Do you still want to remain?
Why are you telling me this?
Because I want to know if you really love me or if you said what you did to placate a madman, to quiet a homicidal maniac who may still murder you. Are you going to stay, Carolyn?
Yes. I'm going to stay, David.
Mrs. Giles! Mrs. Giles, are you coming here?
I'm coming, Mary.
Oh, Mrs. Giles.
There, Mary. Now just try to calm down.
I saw them. I saw them out there.
Mary, try to pull yourself together. Tell me what you saw.
There was a man out there. A man moving around.
Are you sure of it, Mary? I don't see anyone.
Well, maybe you can't see him from here, but I saw him from the window of my room.
All right. Let's look out the window of your room.
I don't want you to think I'm seeing things. I'm not the kind of girl who sees things.
I didn't say you were, Mary, but I don't notice anything unusual from your window either.
You don't see anything?
Just the lawn, the tree. Mary, I know we've all been under a strain today. I guess we're a little jumpy, aren't we?
I guess so. But I wish Mr. Giles were here. I don't like us two being alone.
I know, Mary, but it can't be helped. Now, come, dear, I think you'd better go back to bed.
But I'm afraid to be alone in here. They can get in through the windows.
Then we'll close the shutters. Help me, Mary.
All right, ma'am.
There we are. The outside doors are all closed.
Yes, I locked them myself, but... Well, still, this is a very old house. They can get in.
Well, there's a lock on your door that works quite well. You can lock the door from the inside, and then you'll be as safe as you can possibly be.
All right. I'll do that when you go.
Very well, Mary. I'll go back to my room. I'm sure you'll sleep now. Good night.
I hope so. Good night, Mrs. Giles.
Did you lock the door, Mary?
Yes, I just did. I'm turning out the light now. I'm sorry I troubled you, Mrs. Giles.
Good night.
Good night. There. Oh, she's right. I must be hearing things. Mrs. Giles! There's someone in here! Right! Let go of my hand! Mrs. Giles! Mary? He was locked in here with me! Help me, Mrs. Giles! Mary! Oh, he's got a knife! I can feel it, a knife! Oh, no, let go of me, please! No! Mary!
Well, friends, this is your host again. You ready to go on with our story of married bliss? I mean bliss. You know, if Caroline had only listened to this program, she'd have realized that it's always a mistake to marry a man who has a weakness for murdering the domestic help. It not only makes house cleaning difficult, but creates a terrible servant problem. That there is one compensation in marrying a homicidal maniac. When you'd call your mate crazy, you'd be so right. Well, let's get on with our story. As you remember, Caroline couldn't break into Mary's room, and now she rushes to the telephone and dials the operator.
Hello? Get me the police. Hurry, please. Hello? This is Mrs. Carolyn Giles. Will you please send someone right away? I think there's been a murder.
Hang up, Carolyn. Hang up that phone. What's the matter with you? Why didn't you do as I told you? I don't want the police to know about this until we're ready.
That room. You just came out of Mary's room.
Yes, I saw her.
Saw her? You were in there all the time. You were locked in the room with her. You killed her.
Carolyn.
You murdered her. They're right about you. You murdered her.
Carolyn, you're hysterical. Stop it now.
Stop.
I'm sorry I had to do that. Now, you must get a grip on yourself.
Yes, David, I'll be all right. I'm all right now. How did you get into her room?
I heard screams when I parked the car. The window to her room was open, and I climbed through. I saw her on the bed, and then I unlocked the door and came in here.
You found the window open? But I locked it myself. I bolted the shutters.
Well, it's open now. When did you bolt the window?
A little while ago. The murderer must have been in the room hiding, but she locked herself in.
I guess he escaped through the window.
Yes. Perhaps that's what happened.
You still think I killed her?
I don't know what to think anymore. The way you came from her room.
I explained that.
Yes, I suppose you did.
Carolyn, now listen to me. If I killed her, do you think I'd be talking to you now? Here, look.
Gun.
If I'd murdered Mary, the next step would be to kill you. And you see how easy it is for me to do it. Now, Carolyn, you believed in me before. I'm asking you to believe in me again. I don't want the police to know I left this house tonight. Dent's like the rest of them. He hates me. He'd be glad to accuse me of this crime. Now, Carolyn, I want you to say I was home all night with you.
And if I don't?
I've got this gun, Carolyn. If you let me down, nothing much will matter then. Now, that might be the police, Carolyn. I'm going to open the door.
Good evening, Mr. Giles.
Good evening, Dent.
You got here quickly. Maybe that's because I was kind of expecting to come.
Oh, have you been watching my house?
I ain't saying. When I got that radio call, I didn't lose any time. Oh, Mrs. Giles, you phoned in something about a murder?
Yes, our girl, Mary, she's in there.
Oh. Mr. Giles?
Are you accusing me of this too, Dent?
Well, it's mighty funny, right here in your own home.
This time I can easily prove that I had nothing to do with it. My wife and I were together all night.
Is this right, Mrs. Giles?
That's right, Mr. Dent.
Hello, David.
Richard, come in.
I understand that Dent questioned you again this morning.
Yes, but he didn't get anywhere. I think even he's beginning to get the idea that I'm not a murderer.
I see.
Oh, Carolyn, dear.
Oh, hello there. David, why didn't you warn me your friend was coming tonight?
Well, I phoned Richard only a few minutes ago. You see, Carolyn, I have to go out.
Go on.
Yeah. I didn't want to leave you alone after everything that's happened.
I know, but... Well, couldn't we come with you, David?
No, I'm afraid not.
Why not?
Well, it might be dangerous.
David, where are you going?
I'm sorry, dear, but I can't tell you. It won't be a long trip. It's only about 20 miles or so. That's all the information I can give you.
Has this something to do with these murders?
Perhaps.
Now, David, I wouldn't advise you to take matters into your own hands.
I'm afraid I have to, Richard. You see, the police haven't gotten very far, and my life is at stake.
Your life?
Isn't it obvious? The people are stirred up about these crimes. Who can tell when one of them may take it into his head to murder me? It's becoming a matter of the killer's life or my own. Furthermore, there's another reason why I must solve this. A reason I can't divulge right now.
Why not?
Darling, please don't ask me. I think that after tonight, all this will be over. Bye, Richard. Goodbye, Carolyn.
Bye. Richard,
Yes?
what did he mean by another reason?
Well, Carolyn, if he's right about the murderer, then the next logical victim will be a girl, an attractive girl who's very close to him, so that people will suspect him even more. And the most likely person is yourself.
Did he tell you how long we'd stay away, Richard?
No, he didn't. Shall I deal another round? That must be David.
Hello? David, are you all right, darling? Well, when will you be home? All right, I'll tell Richard. Goodbye. David's on his way home. He'll be here in an hour.
Where did he call from?
A town called Waverly. He says he knows who the killer is.
That's impossible.
How do you know?
Because if he knew, he'd never have made that call.
I don't understand.
It was a perfect signal to the murderer.
Murderer?
It told him that he was safe, that he had all the time he needs, a full hour.
Richard, you...
Please, I must warn you not to do anything foolish. It will only make matters worse for yourself.
What do you have in your hand?
A knife. You see, I simply press this button, and it snaps open. Try to control yourself, Carolyn. Don't try to fight the inevitable. Take my advice and submit to what will come. It will be less painful.
Let go of me.
You see how futile it is to struggle. I have the knife at your throat now. I have only to move my arm, and it's all over.
Why don't you? Why are you waiting?
There's no rush. For once, I have a little time.
Time?
Time seems to extend the experience. I must warn you not to scream. The moment you do, it will all come to an end, suddenly, violently. Screams are dangerous. One can never tell who hears them.
Take the knife away.
No.
Please.
Fear seems to do something to your features, Carolyn. You look extraordinarily beautiful. And I must compliment you on your self-control. You still haven't even raised your voice.
You can't get away with this, Richard. David will come home and find you.
That's not quite how it will happen. David will come home and find you. I shall have the rare pleasure of seeing his reaction. And then it will be his turn.
You're going to kill him?
Yes, it will be a new experience. I've never murdered a man before.
It can't possibly work. You'll be caught.
I plan to be. But I shall plead self-defense. Everyone will believe me because I'll tell them he murdered you. It's very difficult not to scream, isn't it, Carolyn?
They won't believe you. They'll never believe you.
Oh, yes, they will. My police commissioner hates David because he was freed after Dent arrested him. And his position also depends upon me. Oh, I admire you, Carolyn. None of the others held out this long. And you must almost be insane with fear and terror, aren't you? And yet...
I won't scream, Richard. I won't.
In the end, you will.
I won't.
You must.
I won't.
You really are extraordinary, Carolyn.
I won't. Help me, someone help!
Carolyn.
Don't understand. You were here.
Almost all evening. I phoned from a neighbor's house to make him force his hand. I got back just in time.
Still alive.
Yes. Richard.
David, did you know? You couldn't have been that clever.
I suspected you, Richard, but I wasn't certain till tonight.
It was a trap. And Carolyn the bait. All a trick.
I'm afraid that's what it was, Richard. Why did you make them think it was me?
Why? Because you were a Giles. Always a little too clever. Never quite one of us. But you'll die for this, David. You'll be blamed for this and the other murders. I've left letters accusing you of the crimes. And Dent will believe them. Even over your wife's testimony. You'll die for this. They'll kill you.
He's dead.
David, is it true what he said about the letters?
Probably. Dent will never believe me.
Good evening, Mr. Giles.
Dent.
Yeah. Been out there all night. When I heard the shots, I came running in. So you killed him?
Yes, but I had to, Dent. He was going to murder my wife.
That's true. He's the homicidal maniac you've been looking for. You've got to believe that, Mr. Dent.
Of course I believe it, ma'am. Been suspecting him for a long time. Ever since he spread them stories to folks about Mr. Giles. And I heard what he said before he died. You've got nothing to fear now, Mrs. Giles. You and your husband can live here and we'll be proud to have you. And some folks will be mighty ashamed about what they've been saying and doing. I reckon I'd better call in. Get them to take this man away.
I'll bet you thought David was crazy when he fooled you, didn't he? As the squirrel said to the walnut tree, you're still not as nutty as people. Now that brings us to the moral of this story, which is taken from a retired witch who once said,
Why slice your husband's head off when it's so easy to nag him to death?
Oh, here's a little thought to take to bed. Never murder your enemies, because then you'll have no one to hate but yourself.
Inner Sanctum has been brought to you through the facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
During the intermission, our radio show brings to you a cartoon for the record. We now return you to our radio show. Hope you're enjoying today's radio program. When it's done, be sure to check out our channel over at WatchWaddle. Enjoy some tunes with a nice cold soda.
Now, Roma Wines present Suspense. Tonight, Actor's Blood, written and told to us by Ben Hecht and starring Frederick March. Suspense is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you Suspense. This is the Man in Black, here for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California, to raise the curtain on a presentation unique in these weekly half hours of suspense. Tonight from Hollywood, Roma Wines bring you a star of the first magnitude, Mr. Frederick March. And in person, one of America's foremost tellers of tales, Mr. Ben Hecht of Broadway and Hollywood, who will appear as actor and narrator in a suspense play dealing with the mysterious death and the twisted passions and loyalties of the world behind the footlights. And so with Actor's Blood, and with the performance of Frederick March, supported by Ben Hecht, from whom we will hear the narrative in the author's own words, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
Do you remember Maurice Tilliou? Probably not. Only students of the theater or people old enough to have applauded the heyday of Mrs. Leslie Carter and John Drew and the theatrical didos of the Divine Sarah would be likely to remember. During the years I knew him, I saw him in harness but 3 times. Once in a revival, once at a benefit, and the 3rd time was the occasion of the anecdote I've set out to relate. By that time, his only claim to fame was the fact that he was the father of Marcia Tilliou. On a summer night in 1927, Marcia made a final exit worthy of the Tilliou tradition. For weeks after it happened, old Tilliou went around like the ancient mariner, holding with his baleful eye and his mournful song whoever crossed upon his path. But after a while, he too seemed to drop out of sight in the wake of his glamorous daughter, and like her was forgotten. Then late one night, as I was getting ready for bed, the bells of my apartment rang.
Ben, I come with a message from the dead.
Indeed. Well, come on in and tell me about it.
Ben, do you believe in ghosts?
I've got nothing against them.
Good. I have just come from a miserable modern dress caricature of that greatest of the bard's plays, Macbeth. You will scarcely credit what these upstarts have done to Shakespeare's masterpiece.
They haven't altered the text, have they?
You recall the fourth scene of the third act?
Oh, yes. The scene in which Banquo's ghost appears.
Just so. In the folio edition of the play, the stage directions clearly read, "The ghost of Banquo enters and sits in Macbeth's place." In the foul production which I have just witnessed, the ghost does no such thing. It is an empty chair to which Macbeth shrieks his guilty line, "Thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me."
An invisible ghost, eh? That's not so illogical.
Yeah, but what drama is there in it? How can we feel Macbeth's terror if it's an empty stool at which he shouts, "Avaunt and quit my sight. Let the earth hide thee. Thy bones are marrowless. Thy blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with."
The way you read those lines, sir, I have no trouble seeing this ghost.
Thank you. Now listen. I am going to produce that scene in modern dress. It's not going to be a namby-pamby production such as the one I witnessed tonight. I am going to give a banquet at my home, and there is going to be a place set at the table for my daughter, Marcia.
Look, Maurice, I'm very fond of you.
You are wondering why, aren't you, my boy? Like Hamlet, I am but mad north-northwest. The empty place at the table will be purely symbolic, I assure you. And no apparitions will appear, not to you and me, at any rate. I cannot guarantee what my daughter's murderer will see there.
Marcia's murderer will be there?
They will all be there. All who loved her, all who hated her. And woe to the hand that shed this costly blood.
But if you know who the murderer is, why don't you tell the police?
The police? My daughter, sir, would not have wanted so crude and sordid an epilogue to her life story. Like her father before her and my parents before me, she had actor's blood in her veins. She shall be avenged, my friend. But it will be no affair of handcuffs and policemen. I'll not go whining on Marcia's behalf among the cigar butts and cuspidors in some precinct station. No. Her murderer shall be unmasked at a mighty banquet. On Friday next, at 8:30. Curtain time, my friend. I'll see you there.
Yes, I'll be there.
With Ben Hecht in person as the narrator of his own story, and with Frederick March as star, you have heard the prologue to Actor's Blood, tonight's tale of Suspense.
And now, in this brief intermission, let us picture a scene beneath a radiant Caribbean moon at the fashionable Hotel Nacional de Cuba in Havana. An American dinner guest has just raised his glass in a toast to Havana, its traditions, its beauty, the superb dinner, and wine. His Cuban host replies, "True, the traditions, the scenery, and the food you enjoy, they are Cuban. But the wine of which you speak so highly, that is of your country. It is the famed Roma wine made in your own California." Yes, it may surprise you that California produces Roma wines of such uniformly superb quality that they are imported by many foreign countries. But millions of Americans do know and enjoy the excellence of Roma wines daily with meals and when entertaining. These millions have made Roma America's largest selling wines. They know, too, that Roma wines are amazingly inexpensive, only pennies a glass, for wines of such distinguished character. That's because here in America, you pay no high import duty, no expensive shipping charges for Roma, wines that combine age-old winemaking skill with modern testing and quality control. So ask for ROMA, Roma wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
And now it is with pleasure that we bring back to our soundstage Mr. Ben Hecht, narrator and author of Actor's Blood, starring Frederick March. Tonight's tale of Suspense.
It rained on that Friday night. Thunder rolled in the sky. And the streets were full of that picnic-like confusion which storm brings to the city. Waiting under the hotel awning for a taxi, I turned over in my mind the strange invitation that had brought me out into this wild and stormy night. I was rather thrilled at the prospect of old Tiliou's dinner, for his intention was plain: to assemble a company of suspects in the murder of his daughter, Marcia, and he was obviously going to climax the evening by some formal accusation of guilt. I knew pretty well who the suspects were, and I suppose I was one of them. Alfred O'Shea would be there, of course. Alfred O'Shea, the man who had written Marcia Tiliou's first successful play and their last. Broadway had its own private joke about the title of the last. It was called Forgotten Lady. It was after the final curtain of the last performance of Forgotten Lady that Alfred O'Shea chose to tell her. Marcia told the story at the time as a joke on herself.
Hello, Marcia.
Oh, why, darling, you waited for me in my dressing room. Like old times, I'm touched, really touched.
Look, sweetheart, you're off stage now, so cut the Bernhardt. You know why I'm here.
I do?
All right, I'll say it again. I'll say it for the last time. I want a divorce. I want to marry Rena Kratznoff.
I want to marry Rena Kratznoff. Oh, it's such a bad line, and from such a great playwright. No, dear Alfred, not for her. It'd be too belittling a successor. Can't you see, darling, after all we've been to each other, it's like Pygmalion wanting to trade in his beautiful Galatea for a wooden Indian.
Then it's no dice, huh?
No dice, Alfred. No divorce. Not as long as I live. Now, be a darling and help me out of this dress.
Okay, Marcia, you've just made your own bargain.
You can come out from behind that screen now, Father.
How did you know I was there?
Your asthma, darling. I'm glad you're here, even if you are a perfectly fiendish old eavesdropper. Here, you can unhook me since that swine refused.
I warned you against marrying that jackanapes of a playwright, Marcia.
Oh, Father, you're saying I told you so. What I really wanted was to weep on your shoulder. Ouch!
I'm sorry. Look here, Marcia. What are you going to do about this career of
Now,
yours?
darling, please don't go into that old routine about my being the last scion of the royal family of the American theater. I'm nothing but a combination of your name and a playwright who specializes in shallow, brittle female leads that enable me to get applause by simply acting myself.
Marcia, I won't allow you to speak this way about yourself. You're a great artist.
Oh.
You've taken your place in the great tradition of the stage beside the immortal figures of Rachel, Siddons, Bernhardt, and Modjeska. Marcia, let O'Shea go. He was never worthy of you. Play Juliet next season. Show them you don't need a fashionable playwright and tailor-made parts to succeed. Show them you have actor's blood.
Actor's blood! Actor's blood! I'm sick of hearing about it. Just because you and Mother thought it was cute to stick me out there behind the footlights at the age of 5. Because you never had any real life. You didn't see any reason why your daughter should have. I'm supposed to have actor's blood.
All right. I'm only thinking of you, Marcia. Only of you. But that O'Shea is a hot-headed Irishman. He came very near to threatening your life when you refused to do as he asked.
Good. I wish he would kill me. I'm sick of the whole rotten business.
Yes, O'Shea was a suspect. He would be at old Tiliou's dinner. He would be seated across the table from the empty chair. And would he see a Banquo's ghost of Marcia Tiliou? But O'Shea would be in a goodly company of suspects. Fritz von Klauber would be there, for sure. Fritz von Klauber. Not a man I should have liked to have as an enemy, that. Abnormally sensitive to insult, von Klauber was possessed also of an impenetrable Prussian stupidity. His first American production was a play called Jubilee for Spring, and Marcia Tilley starred in it. It was the most sensational flop of the Broadway season. After the first night performance in the 21 Club, Marcia held her own private autopsy on von Klauber's dead turkey.
You see, darlings, Mr. von Klauber, my esteemed producer, loves his turkey farm so much, he sometimes forgets he's on Broadway.
Terrific, Marcia. How about that for my column?
Sure, Walter. Anything at all. It's all yours exclusively.
Marcia, shh. Von Klauber. He's over there at the next table. He's heard every word.
Good. Let him hear. He's going to hear from me in the morning anyway when I start looking for a new producer.
Go ahead, my sweet Marcia. Go ahead. Rag me in public. I could kill you for this. Do you hear me? I could kill you.
Oh, you could, darling. Well, if my beloved husband doesn't do me in as he keeps threatening to do, perhaps I'll ask you to oblige. I may yet be spared the nuisance of doing the job myself.
Marcia, I forbid you to talk like this.
Sorry, Father. Must be the actor's blood cropping up again.
Yes, von Klauber would surely be present at Tilley's ghostly dinner. As I got into the taxi and gave the driver Tilley's address, my mind was still turning upon the terrible question, who killed Marcia Tilley? Third on my list of suspects was a character named Maury Stein. Maury Stein. A one-time racing tout and small-time gangster, Maury turned his brilliant, if slightly frightening talent to flesh peddling. That is to say, he was a theatrical agent. Marcia did 2 shows under his management, both of them flops. It wasn't her fault. There was no belittlement of the name Tilley. It was still an electric sign, but growing ghostly, slipping still aglow into the side streets of fame. Maury Stein was Marcia Tilley's last substitute for love.
Maury, will you stop staring at that door?
Let's get out of here.
Oh, relax. This is a charming room. I like it here.
Look, chick, I said let's get out of here. Understand?
Perfectly. I understand that Mrs. Maury Stein may come walking in that door. Perhaps she'll put 2 and 2 together about us. That'd make you sad, wouldn't it? Because you've signed over all your unscrupulously earned money to your good wife. Oh, just in case questions should be asked, you know. And if she gets any ideas, she may cut you off without a dime. And then...
Shut up!
You know, I've half a mind
Did you hear what I said? Shut up! You ever so much as pick up your coat. We're gone.
Maury, you are a worm. A despicable, slimy little worm.
Sister, nobody talks to Maury Stein like that and gets away with it, see? Nobody.
There was to be one more opening night in Marcia Tilley's career. And ironically enough, the 3 men she had cause to fear most of all her enemies were doing the honors. O'Shea had written it, von Klauber was the producer, and Maury Stein had put up the money. I arrived backstage at the Broadhurst at 8:20 to find the 3 of them in hysterics. 10 minutes to curtain time and no Marcia. I found old Tilley sitting in her dressing room, nursing a sprained ankle and very upset.
Ben, I'm worried. For the first time, I'm really worried about Marcia.
What's the matter?
I don't know. We've been calling her hotel since 6 o'clock. She refuses to answer the phone. Ben, go over there. You're the only one she'll listen to. No Tilley has ever missed a performance, and Marcia, of all people, must not be the first. It's those villains out there who've done this, spreading insidious poison like Iago, tearing at her heart with their fangs until she's afraid to go on. Go, Ben, try to reason with her.
Okay, Pop. I'll do my best to bring her back. I trotted the 3 blocks to Marcia's hotel. The clerk at the desk met me with a dead pan.
No, Mr. Heck, Miss Tilley hasn't come down yet. No key in her box.
I took the elevator up. I turned left and walked down the corridor. I knocked on the door. No answer. Tried the knob. Door opened. And then it all added up. Yes, it added up. To a gaudy room in shambles, mirrors smashed, perfume bottles shattered. The portrait of Marcia is Pierrette, cut to ribbons. And finally it added up to Marcia herself, cold and white and terribly beautiful, lying there on the bed with 3 round bullet holes in a neat triangle just over the heart. There was no mistaking it. Marcia Tillyu was dead, murdered. That was the sum total of the addition I was doing in my head as I rode in a taxi the 20 blocks from my hotel to old Tillio's house on West 84th Street. Maybe I added it up wrong, but I felt sure I hadn't. I was even more certain when I saw old Tillio standing there at the head of the table to greet the guests he had assembled on the promise of revealing the identity of Marcia's murderer. Promptly at 8:30, he made his entrance. He had brought a stranger into the room with him.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for waiting so patiently. I trust you found your mutual company not too tiresome. I should like to introduce my guest of honor. May I present Mr. Carl Schuttler of the District Attorney's Office. Now, if you will all be seated, the place cards are plainly marked. Please do not disarrange them.
Thank you, Alfred.
I see one short. And who, may I ask, is that empty place for? Banquo's ghost?
That, my dear Mr. Van Glauber, is for a beloved guest known to all of you.
Beloved guest, huh? Let's see now. Well, hey, listen to this. This seat has indeed been reserved for one known to all of us.
Who is it?
It's been reserved for Marcia Tillyu.
What's the
Oh, please, I'd like to change my place.
Come on, sit down, Rita. Marcia was never... She was too sensible to play ghost.
I am an old actor. With the audience seated and the curtain up, I find it hard to wait. Art is long, but time is fleeting. And there is one who bids me speak. Love, hear thou. How desolate the heart is ever calling, ever unanswered, and the dark rain falling, then as now. You are wondering if I really believe my daughter Marcia is present in this galaxy of her friends. It may be the wandering wits of an old man, but I see her sitting there, tragic and beautiful. About her the sound of rain and of sweet bells jangling out of tune. Forgive me. You have not come here tonight to hear a doting father spread his miseries before you, but for a sterner business, which from your courtesy, your attentiveness, I feel sure you have guessed. Mr. Schuttler asked me to tell him this matter privately, but I refused. For you are all her friends, her honorable friends, and I wanted you present. Who killed my daughter? Who took her life? There's the question. I have the answer. Yes, Mr. Schuttler, the murderer is here. He sits here among us now at my table.
Shall I lock the door now, Mr. Tillyu?
Yes, lock the door. Lock it tight. Leave no chance for escape. Ha! It's too late now. No power in heaven or earth can save him.
All right, Mr. Tillyu, the door's locked.
My friends, is this not like a play? Your face is waiting for the name of Iscariot, the Judas. That's it. Clear your throats. Fidget, squirm. Look about you. Who knows? The villain may be right beside you. And who knows but that you may be his next victim.
Mr. Tillyu...
I keep my promise, Mr. Schuttler. I have the proofs, all of them. Enough to send the murderer from this table to the gallows. The one who killed Marcia is looking at me now. The blood on his hands. The terror in his eyes. I'll tell you his name.
His name is... Let me go! He's killing you! Everybody stay where you are! Not that! Not that! A knife! A knife! Oh, my God! Oh, my God!
Tilio! Where are you?
He's killing me! He's killing... He's...
A dagger handle protruded from old Tiliu's crimson shirt front. His eyes were closed. We carried him into the next room and waited outside while the doctor worked over him.
Mr. Heck?
I'm Ben Heck, Doctor.
Oh. Will you come in, please? He's asking for you.
Doctor, is he...
the knife pierced the heart. He hasn't much longer.
Ben, is that you, Ben?
Yes, it's me. Who did it?
Here, lean over so I can see your face.
There, satisfied? Something fell out of my pocket.
Wait. What is that?
Why, it's a letter. I must have stuck it into the pocket of this suit the last time I wore it.
Wait, what's in that letter, Ben?
Why, I don't know. I haven't even opened it.
That's Marcia's handwriting. A letter from the dead. Open it, Ben. Read it to me.
Look, you mustn't excite yourself.
When was that letter mailed?
It's postmarked the 10th. It must have been the day before
Read the letter, Ben.
All right.
What does it say, Ben? Read it.
Why, it says, Dear Ben, this is to remind you of the opening at the Broadhorse tonight. I hope you will be there because I sincerely believe that this is one of the greatest roles I have ever played, and I'm so anxious to make good in it because of Father's faith in me.
She cared. She really cared. What I thought.
Sure she did. She'd have been proud of your performance in there this evening, too, Pop. You were great.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Doctor!
Oh, yes, what? Oh. Well, that's that. He was quite an actor in his day, wasn't he?
Yes, quite an actor.
How's he doing? Huh? What did he say? Did he say anything?
He's dead. I've got a letter here that will explain everything. It's a pity I didn't find it sooner. I haven't had this dinner suit on since the night of Marcia's opening. It fell out of my pocket when I leaned over the bed in there. It was written by Marcia Tiliu, the day she died. It says, Ben, I'm bored, tired, hurt, sick, full of nasty things. I'd stay a while longer, but death seems easier and simpler than life. What are a few pills more or less to one who has swallowed so much? Take care of Father. He liked you the best for the last time, Marcia.
Suicide. It's a suicide note. But what about the bullets?
Can't you guess? The old man worshipped her. She was his star. But stars don't commit suicide. Only failures do that. So he fired 3 bullets into her dead body, slashed the painting, and wrecked the place to make it look like a crime of passion.
He must have been mad as a hatter.
Oh, he was sane. I think he really saw her as murdered by all of us, her so-called friends who had let her down when she needed them most. Do you realize that old barnstormer was playing his death scene from the moment he came into this room tonight? He'd rehearsed it in his bedroom for days, sharpening away at Macbeth's old toad stabber. He had his lines down pat. He staged his elaborate scene this evening and killed himself in such a way that we'd all be raked over the coals, not only for Marcia's murder, but for his own as well.
Well, it was a lovely piece of old-fashioned miming, but as fruitless a drama as I ever had the misfortune to witness.
You're right, O'Shea. The plot was full of holes. We could have helped him a lot with the construction, but it was a great last night.
And And so closes Actor's Blood, written and narrated by Ben Hecht and starring Frederick March. Tonight's study in Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by William Spear.
Have you discovered, as thousands have, how much Roma wines add to the enjoyment of your meals? How their superb flavor makes special occasion feasts out of everyday meals? Well, find out for yourself. Start off the meal with that delightful appetizer, Roma California Sherry. Then place on the table a well-chilled bottle of Roma California table wine, delicate Sauterne, hearty Burgundy, or tart, tasty claret. You'll be amazed at the tremendous difference Roma wine makes in the enjoyment of your foods. Don't overlook this easy, inexpensive way to add thrilling, extra enjoyment of everyday living. Remember, Roma wines cost only pennies a glass. Take a tip from the millions who enjoy Roma wines at meals when entertaining. Ask for R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, America's largest selling wines. Made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
Next Thursday, same time, you will hear Mr. Brian Donlevy, a star of Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
It's intermission time at the Baba Ghoulie Show. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for some hot popcorn? How's about your favorite soft drinks, which are sparkling cold? And there's all kinds of candy to tempt you. It's radio time, folks. Enjoy the rest of the program. Your radio is experiencing technical difficulties. Please stay on by. The Baba Ghoulie Show is brought to you by OTR Halloween Holidays.
Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Blood on the Trumpet, a suspense play starring Mr. William Holden, with special trumpet effects by the famous Ziggy Elman.
I don't get to this part of New Orleans much, Sergeant Juno.
I used to come and listen to the jazz once in a while.
Well, who's been on the case?
Me and Lieutenant Angelini. We've been on the study for 48 hours.
This the place, Juno?
Well, yes, this is it.
Well, it's not exactly a respectable-looking hotel.
When a man runs from murder, Castro, he can't stop to live in style.
Who found the body?
Landlady. She called in.
Messy, huh?
When you beat somebody's head in with a thing like a trumpet, it's real messy. All right, Castro, this is it.
You want me to kick it in?
No, Put your horn down, Vic. This is Sergeant Juno of the New Orleans Police. Put the horn down. Come out, kid. Come out with no monkey business.
Let me break it down.
No way.
The police. Oh, I'm glad it's the police. I'm so glad it's the police and not him.
Vic, in the presence of Police Officer Cassou, I arrest you for the murder of your wife.
In just a moment, Mr. William Holden in the first act of Blood on the Trumpet.
Hi, Harlow. Do I look any different?
Well, should you?
Of course. I'm winterized. Drove in to see my Autolite spark plug dealer. He changed the oil and grease, put in antifreeze.
And check the spark plugs, too.
And that's mighty important, Johnny Plug Check, because spark plugs are the very heart of a car's ignition system. When they're right, your chances of starting, even in the coldest weather, are better than ever. So, when you have your car made ready for winter,
Check the spark plugs, too.
and replace worn-out spark plugs with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, world famous for quality and dependability. You'll get smoother performance, quick start, and gas savings. So, friends, it's last call. Have your Autolite dealer winterize your car now. Get worn-out spark plugs replaced with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. Whether you choose the standard type or the resistor type, you can't buy better spark plugs for your car because you're always right with Autolite.
And now, with Blood on the Trumpet and the performance of Mr. William Holden, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
You feel okay now, Vic?
How's a guy supposed to feel when he's arrested for murder?
Yeah. Want a cigarette?
No.
You done a good job on her, boy.
Thanks.
Oh, here's my report, Castro. Get Destino to type up 3 carbons and give one to Lieutenant Angelini.
Angelini?
Yeah, Vic, Lieutenant Angelini. He's the big boy in charge of the case. Very famous, New Orleans.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Eichstadt told me about him.
All right, Vic. Let's start from the reason why you killed Sarah, your wife.
Oh, I didn't have a reason. It just happened. We had a fight. I don't know. I'm all mixed up.
Come on, Vic, boy. Try hard for Sergeant Juno. Go back to when it started.
When it started? Who can say when it started? Maybe it started the first day I married Sarah. In my own mind, I don't know. Or maybe it started when I started playing trumpet in Lou Eichstadt's club down in the French Quarter. They call me great, real great. The best trumpet since Beiderbecke Armstrong. Everybody thought so, everybody. Everybody but Sarah, my wife. She didn't. She had different ideas about it. She couldn't understand a man loving music.
Has-been. You're a has-been. Only you never went anywhere to be a has-been. You were always a second-rate horn blower, and you'll never be anything else. Do you hear me? Never anything else.
Oh, Sarah, these walls are like paper.
So let him hear. I don't care. Let him know what a bum I've got for a husband. I'm sick of your talk. I'm sick of you. Turn that lousy record off.
Leave it on. Sarah, you got cotton in your ears. I said leave it on.
All day long, the same record around and around.
I said put it back on.
It makes me sick.
Sarah!
Always the same song and dance. A little time, Sarah, a little time.
Sarah, please.
You're a dreamer. You blow pipe dreams through that horn you play.
Shut up!
Wait, Sarah, wait. My ship will come in. Sure, I'll wait. While I'm waiting, you beat your brains out blowing a horn in a cheap dive. Your ship's sunk, and you don't know it. You know something? I wish I was dead. Do you hear that trumpet, man? I wish I was dead.
Sarah, when you talk like that, I wish I could kill you myself and make your wish come true. For 5 years, the same argument over and over, and the same words, they never changed. I was late getting to the club, but I didn't care. Sarah talking to me like that. The first set, I was so sore I didn't need anything to make me hop. I blew that horn by the beat of my blood. We got our first break after the second set, and Lou, the owner of the club, came over and took my arm. Said he had somebody he wanted me to meet.
Oh, over here, Vic, my great trumpet man.
What's up, Lou?
Oh, a girl's up, Vic. A music lover who'd like to meet you. Miss Luana Durant, meet my trumpet man, Victor Roberts.
How do you do?
Hi.
Sit down, Victor, sit down. Talk some music. Talk some old-time jazz. Entertain Miss Durant, Victor. Talk about the jazz we play, huh?
Yeah.
Sit down, Vic.
Thanks.
Buy your drink?
This water's strong enough.
You're good on that trumpet, Vic.
Think so?
Mm-hmm.
Pin a medal on me.
Hey, look, Horn boy, you don't have to sit here and talk to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I tell you what I'll do, Miss Durant. I'll let you buy me that drink, and you can tell me the story of your life.
That sounds like a bargain.
She ordered up, and we sat and talked. She told me the story. It was a brutal one. A sick father and a rotten mother. So to get away from it all, she married young. A musician that had had a sickness beside music. He drank himself to death. But from him, she'd learned something. She'd learned to love music, which was why she canvassed jazz joints. She said she'd been in every night for almost 2 weeks now, listening to our combo. She thought we were good, particularly the bright boy on the trumpet, me. The guys were moving up for the next set, so I made my excuses and left her. Lou Eichstadt stopped me by the platform.
Lay off, Vic. It's no good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about trouble. There's another guy. A rough guy. A guy that's a mean cop. A guy that doesn't deserve the name cop, and he wants her bad. He comes in every night, sits over in that corner and watches her.
I don't see him tonight.
Rico Angelini is a bad name for you to mix with.
Look, Lou, take it easy. I just met her.
Lay off, Vic. Go home to Sarah, your wife.
We finished the last set about 1. The table where Luana had been sitting was empty. Then one of the waiters came up and handed me a napkin. I looked at it. It had an address written on it in lipstick. Blood red lipstick. Capitular Hotel, Canal Street. I started to fold it up and toss it away, but then suddenly I thought about Sarah. And I didn't toss it away. I shoved it in my pocket and walked out. It took me 15 minutes to get back to the boarding house. The light up in our room was still on, and Sarah was still up. And just like that, against the pull-down shade, I saw 2 shadows. One was the shadow of Sarah, and the other, the shadow of a man. I choked and my breath came hard. My Sarah, my own Sarah, with some other guy. I waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Then the light snapped out. I went up the stairs onto the porch and ducked behind a swing. The front door opened, and the outline of a big guy came out and went down the steps. I couldn't see his face, but as he passed under the street lamp, I could see he was wearing a green checkered shirt collar. Sarah, my own sweet little nagging wife, two-timing me, playing me for a sap. I took the napkin out of my pocket. Thanks, Sarah, for helping me to decide. Then I went where the lipstick told me.
Hi, trumpet man.
Hi.
Did the lipstick smudge?
I'm here. It didn't smudge.
Want to come in?
Lou Eichstadt says to lay off.
He's your father, maybe?
What do you want?
A ride? How about a ride in my fast car, Vic?
A ride this time of morning?
I know a little place where they serve good black coffee.
I've had kind of a rough time tonight. I'm tired.
Too tired for some good black coffee?
Oh, this is all crazy.
A cup of black coffee and small talk? I like your looks. That's all.
That's all? You think that's all?
Down by the wharf? That's my last offer, trumpet man.
I asked for it, didn't I? We went down and got into her car, and she headed straight for the wharf. At Chiarello's, the lights were low, the music was soft, and the coffee was good. We sat and talked, and pretty soon we got back into her car and drove close to the river. She stopped the car and looked up at me. Her eyes were real black. She moved her lips close to mine. Those blood-red lips. What's Angeliti?
How'd you know? Oh, Lou Eichstadt. I get it.
Who is he? What is he?
A cop. I met him somewhere one night. He's called me a couple of times, but that's all.
That's all?
That's all, Trumpet Man. Nothing ever like this. Vic, let's go away, just you and I.
That's not possible.
Why? Tell me why it isn't possible.
I have a wife. Now, it makes a difference, doesn't it?
No, Vic. No, it doesn't. Why should it make a difference?
I don't know. I just thought maybe it would.
Vic, this can be for keeps.
You really mean it, don't you?
Let's go away and you'll see how much I mean it. Let's go away together. Leave her. We'll go away and start something new.
Oh, Luana, I'm all mixed up in my mind. I meet you in one night. You don't even know me. We hardly know each other.
I like the way you look. Vic, let's go away. Let's go away in a little while.
I don't know.
I'll wait for you, Vic. I'll wait for you at the hotel.
All right. All right, baby. You wait for me at the hotel.
No. Press hard on my lips, Vic. Real hard, just like you do on your trumpet.
Something that had been hard for me to settle was easy now. I was through with Sarah, my great big headache. I was finished, and she wouldn't yell at me anymore or cheat anymore. I could go away now, go away from her and her nagging voice, away from Sarah and away from hate.
You, Vic?
Yeah, me, Vic.
Where have you been all night? It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Your voice makes me sick.
What should I think?
What should you think?
A no-good bum husband who stays out all
Now,
night.
be quiet for 1 minute, and I'll tell you a secret, my sinful wife. I'm leaving you. I'm going away.
You're going away? You're insane. What do you think?
Oh, it's time, Sarah. I finally woke up from that crazy sleep I was in. I'm leaving you.
So, you're leaving me.
Yes, I'm leaving you. We don't make the right kind of music anymore.
Music. Is that what you call it? No, it's not music. It's a hell. That's all it's ever been. You hear me? Everything I've ever done, every sacrifice I've ever made in just a simple sentence you make, it's all over.
Just as simple as that.
Maybe it just isn't music. Maybe it's something else. Like maybe another woman.
Sarah!
I knew it. I smelled it. Someone else. That's it, isn't it, Vic?
Sarah, stop it. Don't say another word.
Who is she? Some music lover you picked up? Who is she? Answer me.
Be quiet.
Who is she? Who is she, you dirty cheat?
I said be quiet. You make me sick.
You hit me. You hit me. I'll show you, you dirty lass. I'll show you.
Stop it, sir.
Switch
Stop
me
it, you
around, will you? I won't switch you.
Sarah. Get up, Sarah. I didn't mean to. Sarah. I said to get up. I didn't. Sarah, what's the matter? Why don't you. Oh, Sarah, you're bleeding. I didn't mean to, Sarah. Oh, no. No, Sarah, no. No.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. William Holden in Blood on the Trumpet. Tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Winter, winter, quite contrary. How does your weather go? With blustery winds and ice and snow and frozen cars all in a row.
That's a profound prognosis, my prophetic poet, unless you've had your car winterized. It's last call, friends. Have your neighborhood Autolite spark plug dealer change oil and grease, put in antifreeze.
And check the spark plugs, too!
Right, Johnny Plug Check. Spark plugs are the all-important heart of your car's ignition system. And when they're right, your chances of starting even in the coldest weather are better than ever.
So check the spark plugs, too!
Yes, folks, visit your friendly Autolite spark plug dealer and replace worn-out spark plugs with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. The spark plugs that work as a team with your car's ignition system. Because they're designed by the same Autolite engineers who design complete ignition systems used as original factory equipment on many leading makes of America's finest cars. And whether you choose the standard type or the resistor type, you'll be right, because you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. William Holden in Elliot Lewis's production of Blood on the Trumpet, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Something banged against my head. I turned over on my back and opened my eyes. And then I sat up. I was in bed, and the banging noise became a shade flapping against the window of a cheap hotel where I was hiding out. I got up off the bed and moved over to the window. The clock down across the street said 2:30. The sun was high and hot. I remember running from a boarding house last night. Running until I found this cheap hotel. What does a killer do? He runs from everything. I found a nickel in my pants pocket. And on this nickel, I pinned my hopes for survival. I called Luana.
Hello?
Luana, Vic.
What happened, trumpet boy? She talk you out of it?
Luana, wait. Please listen to me. Now listen to me close and try not to get excited.
Hey, you sound as if...
Luana, look. After I left you, I went home to tell Sarah I was leaving her. She got mad. She got real mad, so... Well, I got a little rough, and... Well, what I did, I didn't mean to do.
Baby, Vic, what is it? What happened?
I hit her a couple of times. I hit her, and she fell, and...
Vic!
It was accident. A mistake, Lana. I didn't mean it. I don't know how it happened. It was so fast, I just got mad, and...
Vic, baby.
Luana, listen, I've got to get out of town. I've got to run. I can't go back to the house.
Where are you?
Oh, some cheap hotel, the Piedmont, just off Decatur. I need money. You've got to help me.
What can I do?
Get me enough money to get us out of town.
But, Vic...
You said it. Last night you said we'd go away together.
Vic...
Meet me.
When?
Now, half an hour.
No, you better stay right there. No one will spot you. Stay where you are till it's dark, then meet me.
Where and what time?
Tonight at 7 o'clock when it gets dark. Down near the end of the coffee stand in the Café de Monde.
All right. Tonight at 7. Down near the end of the stand where it's dark. I hung up. I couldn't stay in the hotel. My picture was probably spread over every paper in town. Maybe the clerk remembered me coming in. I'd better get out and move around. I went down to Decatur Street. It was starting to fill with late afternoon shoppers. I walked up and down the streets until 4 o'clock. And then I found an almost empty cafe and went in and ordered a cup of coffee. I was sitting there, staring ahead, trying to clear my mind, when suddenly I felt a big, flabby hand grip my shoulder. I turned and looked up into the beady gray eyes of the fat man with the green checkered shirt collar.
Why did you do it, Vic?
I jumped up, and with all my strength, I shoved both arms straight out and hit him in the stomach. I could feel both of my fists sink into the pounds and pounds of flesh. And then he was reeling backward, knocking over chairs and people, and I was running out the door and down the street. I slowed down, mixing in with the people pushing along. How was it possible? The guy that had been up in that room with my wife. Was it just a coincidence that he found me, or was he really looking for me? Time. Before I had no time. Now I had too much of it. I passed a movie theater. I stopped. Keep off the streets until dark. That was it. I went in. I don't even remember the name of the picture. I couldn't even concentrate on it. Because all the time I kept thinking about the fat man. What did he want with me? Was it really just a coincidence that he'd spotted me? picture ended and the lights went up, I crouched down low in my seat, staring straight ahead. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw him. He was walking up the aisle, looking up each row of seats. He was looking for me. I turned my head and held my hand up to the side of my face. He was coming closer now. He was at the next row. The lights went out and the newsreel started. I moved quick. I stumbled into the aisle and out into the lobby and got lost in the crowd of people leaving the show. It was no use. I couldn't shake him. Everywhere I turned, he was there. What did he want? Did he want to kill me? Kill me for murdering Sarah? Was that it? But that was my own business. If I wanted to kill my wife, that was my business. Oh, no. Bad reasoning. I hadn't wanted to kill her. I ran until I thought my legs would drop. And then it was 7 o'clock, and I was down by the pier. There were a few people drinking coffee at the stand. I walked down to the far end, and then I saw her coming. Luana!
Vic!
Over here.
Oh, Vic, you're crazy. The cops are looking all over.
Oh, I don't
for
care
you.
about the cops. It's him.
What are you talking about?
The guy that was with Sarah, the big fat guy. He's after me. All day long he's been after me. Luana, we gotta get out of here.
Vic, you're crazy. You're all mixed up. You don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not mixed up, Luana. I tell you, he's looking for me right now. Any minute he might show up.
Vic, maybe you better give yourself up. Maybe it would...
For you. Don't you understand? I did this for you.
I didn't ask you to kill her. I did... Vic, stop it. You're hurting me.
All I need now is for you to turn against me.
Vic, let me go. Let me...
Luana, come back. Please, come back. For you. I did it for you, you dirty filthy...
Hello, Victor.
What do you want? What do you want from me?
I want to give what's coming to you, killer. I'll get you now, killer. I'll get you now. Because you finally cracked.
It was no good. I just couldn't run anymore. Everywhere I turned, he was there. I was being hunted by a guy with murder in his heart. Can you understand that, Juno? I made it back to the hotel, and I was waiting for him when you guys showed up. I never knew I'd be so glad to see the police. I never knew I'd be so glad.
Mm-hmm. The girl turned you in, Vic.
Luana.
She cried, Victor. She cried when she told us where you were.
I guess maybe she did right.
Yeah, I guess she did. All right, sign this confession. Castlew, call in Lieutenant Angelini.
Lieutenant, want to come in and look at the killer?
Hello, Vic.
It's him. The fat guy.
Take it easy, Vic, boy. Take it easy.
Why? He made me go out of my mind. A cop was chasing me.
I just wanted to see a killer run, Vic.
Sign the confession, Vic.
No, this confession is all wrong. The part about the trumpet, this is all wrong. I didn't hit her with a trumpet.
Come on, trumpet boy, sign.
No, Angelini, I won't sign it. I didn't hit her with a trumpet.
You're crazy.
I won't. Something smells, something...
Hey, look, you, I'm tired. You give me a good chase. You make a confession, now you sign it.
No, I won't do it. This isn't what I said. I never said anything about hitting her with a trumpet. I hit her with my fist, and she
You're
fell.
crazy. You murdered your wife in cold blood. You went up there after you finished at the club. You had an argument. Then you smashed her head in with a trumpet. Then you wiped the blood off the trumpet.
Hey, wait a second, Angelini.
Shut up, Juno. Can't you see this guy's stalling? Now, come on, killer.
No, I won't shut up, Angelini.
Hey, now, listen.
My typed report's still on my desk. You haven't read it yet.
Well, so what if I have?
So I was the guy that went up there and tabbed the body. When I got back, I briefed you. I made the report out. You just said you didn't read it. Well, there was something in that report I didn't bother to tell you about. I didn't think it was that important. I didn't tell you that the blood had been wiped off of the trumpet. There were only two people who knew that. Me, Lieutenant Angelini. Me and the killer.
Oh, you...
Juno, it was Angelini.
Hey, you lousy
Juno,
blowing...
it fits. What Luana said to me, what Lou Eichstadt said, it fits. This guy framed me.
I'll break your neck.
Take it easy, Angelina.
He was nuts for her. Only she couldn't see him for dust. He must have spotted me that first night with her. He followed me. He was the guy Sarah was with when I got home. He was waiting for me.
I'll kill you.
Grab him, Count. Grab him.
Lieutenant, filthy trumpet boy. Filthy.
You framed me, Angelini. Why?
Look at me, trumpet man. Look hard at my extra flesh and tell me why I would frame a man like you.
Luana.
Your wife wasn't dead when I went up there the second time. Her head was cut on the side. She was bleeding. But she wasn't dead.
You're under arrest, Angelini. I can't say I'm sorry. You're a disgrace to the force. All right, Vic, that's all I need from you. You can go now.
Hey, you. She's waiting for you outside.
Luana.
And she's crying for you. Juno. Bright Sergeant Juno. Hey, do you think if maybe I wasn't so fat, she would have cried some tears for me?
Sure, Angelini, sure. She might have cried for you.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. William Holden.
Friends, this is Harlow Wilcox, and now I'd like you to meet our star, William Holden.
Thanks for the curtain call, Harlow. I was hoping you would invite me to say a few words.
About your new Paramount picture, Union Station, no doubt. Well, Bill, I've seen it, and it's great.
Well, thanks, Harlow, but I really intended to say a few words about Autolite.
Bill, that's the best curtain speech you could make, but you'll need more than a few words.
I know, Harlow.
Why, Autolite makes 400 products for cars, trucks, planes, and boats in 28 plants coast to coast. These include complete electrical systems used as original equipment on many makes of America's finest cars. Electric windshield wipers, spark plugs, starting motors, batteries, bullseye sealed beam headlights, coils, distributors, generators, all engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team. So, friends, don't accept electrical parts supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on Autolite original factory parts at your neighborhood service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. And remember, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week on Suspense, Mr. Cary Grant as star of On a Country Road. And in weeks to come, you will hear such famous stars as Ozzie Nelson and Harriet Hilliard and Van Heflin, appearing in tales well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin, with special trumpet effects by Ziggy Elman. Blood on the Trumpet was written for Suspense by Richard George Pedicini.
And remember, next week on Suspense, Mr. Cary Grant in On a Country Road.
You can buy world-famous Autolite resistor type or standard type spark plugs, Autolite stateful batteries, Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Watchwater Radio Repairman. Thanks for watching the Baba Ghoulie Show by OTR Halloween Holidays. This is Waddle the Duck saying check out Channel Watch Waddle for some fun cartoons with no static.